might not be Friday night, but it certainly feels like one. We've got hamburgers and hot dogs on the grill. We've got fans in the stands, and it's certainly going to be a special night. Now, it was a totally different second half. The Saints erupted for 19 unanswered points. They just won the Class 5A state title. The first-year head coach is loving the local talent that he's got in the two deeps, starting with preseason All-American and former Miguel Tulin standout Jalen Tolbert. From 1,000-yard rushers to tackling machines, this year's Senior Bowl Hall of Fame class can trace its beginnings back to Mobile. We've got a laser thermometer that athletic trainers use all over our area. We're going to measure the temp of the field today, 105 degrees. When the heat gets that high, protocols go up so body temperatures stay down. No, it's not the WWE, but it is wrestling. And there's a lot going down on mats in Baldwin County. Tonight we feature two teams that might not have the biggest rosters, but have plenty of talent. From pen to paper, high school athletes all across the country and right here on the Gulf Coast sign their way to a college degree. Whether you own a cat or a big dog or a small dog, just like Ollie here, it's important to make sure that they are as comfortable as possible when you're celebrating tonight. The first-year head coach is loving the local talent that he's got in the two deeps, starting with preseason All-American and former Miguel Tulin standout Jalen Tolbert.
Jalen Wayne and Jalen Tolbert obviously stood out just in some of the things that they're doing athletically.
Highlight catches were easy to come by for Tolbert on opening day of fall camp, something Jag fans saw last year as the junior hauled in 48 catches for over 1,000 yards. Tolbert's connection with transfer quarterback Jake Bentley could pay off big time come this fall.
Put in a lot of work this offseason, just, not even on the field, just in the film room too.
Tolbert headlines a trio of local standouts at the wide receiver group, joined by Spanish Sports' Jalen Wayne and Faith Academy's Colin Lacey. But the group brings much more to the offense than just talent.
And all these guys that take ownership over their city and the University of South Alabama and the impact that they know that they can make for years to come. Yeah, we're just playing football out on the field. They're just catching and throwing a ball. But that gives them a platform to have real impact in this city, and that's what we all want.
The guys from Mobile are trying to show guys that you don't have to go to the Alabama and Auburns to, get on radars, be able to make plays, be a top D1 player.
We jump cut off that guy, sprint through the damn guy.
The local flavor of talent on this Jags team doesn't just score touchdowns, but is also helping call plays, as Ernest Hill takes over as running backs coach for the Jags. Hill went 40-8 as Miguel Tulin's head coach and won a state title. Womack hopes he brings that winning attitude to South Alabama.
And to watch him learn the college game, right, and really take ownership over his running back group, that's fun for me to see a guy make that high school to college transition.
And Jag fans will sure love seeing all those familiar faces on the sideline and on the field when they open up with Southern Miss September 4th right here in Mobile.
A lot of excitement around that stadium for this kickoff, huh?
Greg, there is. It might not be Friday night, but it certainly feels like one. We've got hamburgers and hot dogs on the grill. We've got fans in the stands, and it's certainly going to be a special night, especially for the former NFL starting quarterback Philip Rivers, as he calls his first regular season game for the Cardinals.
It's a real football game, and being at our place at home, I know we'll have a big crowd. The community, the school's excited.
No more dry runs for the former NFL star Philip Rivers. He's ready to take his first big step in his coaching career tonight as the Cardinals host McIntosh in its home opener. Rivers is ready to get off on the right foot.
That's what I look forward to seeing our boys do tonight in our first home game, is play with that enthusiasm, with that just love of the game and energy.
And it could be a family affair in year one. Philip is joined by his brother Steven Rivers on the sidelines as an offensive assistant. And his father, a Hall of Fame coach himself, will be somewhere in the stands cheering him on and maybe doing a little coaching from there.
I just joked with him. I said, hey, if we can't get anything going now, I may hand you this call sheet, but he laughed. But no added pressure. I think more special than anything. My time as a young boy growing up around his teams, I couldn't wait to play for him. And then that 3 years was awesome. Still some of my favorite football memories are those 3 years playing for him.
A native of Athens, Alabama, Rivers grew up hearing about the great high school football that's played down here on the Gulf Coast.
Knowing of those from afar as a high school kid, and now being here and going, man, dang, it's pretty dang good, and so that's where we hope one day that you can ask somebody and they throw St. Michael in the mix, and obviously we're headed in that direction. see how fast we can get there. But all starts tonight.
When I go and I take my temperatures and I do my readings, and then I'm going to talk with our head coach, Coach Blackman, and say, hey, Coach, look, here's where we stand today.
Those protocols start well before the first whistle. Players get weighed before practice and after to measure how much fluid they need to offset the weight lost from the sweat during practice.
It's not about what they're doing at practice. It's what are they doing right after practice? What are they doing all night long? What are they doing when they wake up in the morning?
When the heat reaches a certain temperature, practices are broken up into specific time slots to give players more time to hydrate and rest. Here at Spanish Fort, they use a specific formula to plan out their practices.
We'll add our temperature and our humidity, and we find that number. And if that number is over a certain point, then I'm going to say, hey, Coach, we need to really cut things down.
Players and coaches get educated throughout the year about heat illness and to recognize some of the symptoms they should look for.
I would be lying if I say it bothered me, but I try my best not to think about it, drink a lot of water, and while defense on the field, try my best to sit down and rehydrate before I go back on the field.
For the first few days of practice, the players only wear helmets. Then they move into what they call shells, which is helmets and shoulder pads to help get them acclimated to this Alabama heat. And then after 5 days of practice, they go full pads. And of course, every single day, they stress hydration.
2-1, let's go.
I know that might sound crazy. It's one of the safest sports you can participate in.
Wrestling has been a sanctioned high school sport in Alabama for boys for decades. Now, a new crop of athletes is stepping onto the mats. Girls and their participation in the state has increased over the past 2 years from double digits to triple digits. But there is no official state championship for these competitors.
Think MMA. Girls see MMA on TV and they're like, well, hey, you know, if those girls can do that, then I can do this.
For girls wrestling to be sanctioned, 20% of the schools in the state have to declare it a sport, and it has to be approved by the Alabama High School Athletic Association.
We were probably right about 10 to 11%, I believe. The schools want it. We'll bring championships for girls wrestling. We just have to follow our Constitution.
With so many options for sports these days, wrestling might not be the first choice for most girls.
My brother's been wrestling since like 5th grade, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try. And after all the years like watching him, I'm like, this seems pretty fun.
Like if I talk to a guy about it, he's like, you wrestle? And I'm like, yeah. And then I kind of like get a little bit embarrassed, but every time I tell a girl about it, they're usually like, oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Battling the boys on the mat is nothing new for Kaylee Holder, a sophomore at Daphne High School. She has more than a dozen matches this season against the boys with only 2 losses.
Definitely like teaches you like to work a lot harder whenever you wrestle boys, and I think that some girls take it for granted because they just wrestle girls.
Coach Jeff Coate has the final say on whether or not his girls will face off with a male challenger. He would soon like to see their own division. Jeff Coate and his team know growing the sport will take a lot of work. Flowers lay at the front door of Hank Aaron's childhood home in remembrance of the Mobile legend, an icon that brought the sport to its feet during the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Today, fans from across the country paid their respects by visiting the home, from taking pictures out in front of the stadium to walking through the hallowed rooms that Aaron once ran through as a child.
He meant a lot to me and a lot of other baseball fans growing up.
Brian Dalby, a former professional baseball player himself and now part-time umpire, was here in Mobile on business, but felt compelled to stop by the childhood home. Dalby watched hundreds of Hank's home runs through his lifetime, but it was what Hank was off the field that left a lasting impact on his own career.
Well, he's just such an inspiration. I mean, he was an inspiration to everybody. I mean, with all he went through in his life and his career and the difficulties he faced, during his career and then after his career, he was just such a gentleman.
They don't make people like this anymore.
Gary Alford took the day to pay tribute by spending time in the home and around the grounds. A longtime Mets fan from Queens, New York, Alford remembers Aaron for his power and grace on the field.
Let me tell you, it was like you just see the momentum and you say, he getting ready to hit one. Or like when a lot of times they would throw at him and whatnot, you say, well, now watch this now.
Spanish Fort quarterback, they're trying to answer. Bird's going to throw it, but Midnight Stewart gets it off the guy's foot and takes it all the way back for the score. Let's take another look at this one. The receiver falls, it goes off his foot, and I believe they might call this the kick six. The Spartans just don't go away. Willie Butler with the run, and he catches the Leopards taking a cat nap. Knight makes a move, and he's gone on 4th down. The Lions, they're going crazy. Our cameraman's getting run over. It's Christian Burnett, and watch Mr. Burnett. Just listen to the pads pop here. Christopher Bracey just got his lunch served to him. 8th Academy, UMS Wright, and Satsuma all come in 2, 3, and 4. With the region wrapped up, St. Paul's, they hosted LaFleur tonight. And to quote the rapper Little Baby, drip too hard. The Rattlers going deep. This is not how you want to start it. Miller again. It might be Miller time. This time with his feet. He's going to break one tackle and then another, and Miller, what a run. Quarterback, you can't let a quarterback run that much. And then Miller doing it again on the play fake, and nobody's there. St. Michael hosting Jackson. This game actually happened last night. The Cardinals were looking to break an 18-game losing streak. The Cardinals have never won a region game in its existence of their program, but they get going faster. Cardinals running back Ezra Sexton will strike first. It's quick, 7-0 Cardinals lead, and give me the points to the camera. There you go. Pads, they were popping for the Pirates as well. Toro quarterback Brendan Bird handles a bad snap, finds Trevon Reed over the middle, and boom. That's Andrew Rogers that lays it. Later on in that drive, Toro's running back Chico Hickson going to hit the corner, and look how quick Mr. Hickson is. They're going to travel to St. Paul's for our UTV 44 Friday night rivals game of the week. It was supposed to be #1 in 5A. St. Paul's was upset earlier tonight against McAdory. It was supposed to be a big game between #1 in 5A and #2 in 6A. Still going to be a great game, so tune into that next week. And then we're back with the Toros. This is the backup quarterback, Brandon Walker, finds Nehemiah Hickson. They call him Nemo. He finds a 1st down.